What's going on, fellow co-creators? How y'all doing? Thank you so much for tuning in to another session of Tales of Dordania. We have got some crazy stuff in store tonight. If you tuned in the last session, you know that our crew is currently being escorted by a bunch of werewolves to Kai's monastery, where he formerly trained at and learned all his cool monk ways, and set out to find Theo Mars and track down Hootie Owlicious about a year and a half ago. And he's been on this kind of journey ever since. And he came back to realize that his former best friend at the monastery, Kobayashi, done betrayed everyone, done did the dirty deed, done got all the monks slayed and killed, turned over to the dark side, interned for some powers and all this other kind of nonsense. And Kai's not too happy about it, to say the least. But where we enter is all of these werewolves are pretty much leading you guys in. You pretty much are at the gates to the monastery here. You're kind of entering now through the courtyard, and there's a lot of bodies around. I mean, these are kind of skeletal remains, mostly of small monk kind of children and older teens and all sorts of them. I mean, there was a good amount of students before you left the monastery, Kai, and from what you're making out, as far as there's no cheering or anybody training outside in the courtyard, everybody's dead. You don't even see any of your mentors or anything of that nature either, which is not super awesome. So, as you guys are all kind of walking through, making this last stretch to kind of get to the entrance of the monastery, what would you all like to do or say?
I want to
Put me down.
quietly grab one of these little doggy treats I have here, my chimera treats, and kind of crush it up in my hand and leave a little trail for Blur.
Okay, make a stealth check. See how stealthily you do this.
He is in the back.
18.
Nice job, dude. As you're getting carried by this werewolf behemoth, you're not super jazzed the idea that somebody's just, holding you under their arm and just kind of manhandling you. And you kind of take this opportunity, though, kind of being shaken around, to so slyly reach down to your pocket and kind of start crushing up a little bit of Blur's treats, trying to leave a little bit of a trail. For you are correct, Blur ran into the bush and kind of hid himself as you guys were ambushed by the werewolves. So not bad, and you leave a nice little kind of breadcrumb trail as you guys are kind of walking through and making your way kind of out to the entrance here. As Behemoth leaves his trail of breadcrumbs for Blur, we kind of jump around to everybody else, and for the main part, everyone's pretty much just making perception checks, trying to see if they see anything that could be of advantage to them for escaping and getting out of the hands of these werewolves, and also trying to observe kind of as they're approaching, the entrance of the monastery, what's kind of been going on, trying to figure out, get a better grasp on the situation at hand. And from seeing all the kind of dead monk bodies, they understand that it's not going so well here. As you guys are all getting escorted in here through the entrance, Kobayashi kind of turns as he kind of gets here to the front of the monastery. You two, take them over to the corner and strip them down of all their belongings. We don't want anyone getting wise before they meet the true master. And these kind of different werewolves kind of bring you guys over here to this corner. And as the werewolves lead them into the corner and they start, removing all their different belongings, their gear, their weapons, Behemoth thinks it might be wise to try to play his loot at the last second. However, it is not wise, and one of the True Bloods shatters his loot against the wall. And everybody realizes that these guys are not here to mess around. As Kobayashi leads you all kind of into the monastery, this is all very, excuse me, very surreal for you, Kai. For the last time you were in here, your Master Bendu, was like wishing you well on your journey, on your way to find out the answers that you sought. And now you're coming back to this whole thing of just death, and just everywhere. And two, as the werewolves all kind of get you guys to the entrance, all of them except for Kobayashi stay outside the monastery, kind of right at the door. Kobayashi's the only one that follows you inside, along with this other werewolf that kind of turned back into his humanoid form. He kind of comes up, behind you all and kind of, steps in right after you guys and kind of walks over to the side. Now, as you guys enter these halls, Kai, you can't quite see this, but for everyone else's sake, it looks like it was just a massacre inside this room. There is dried blood splatters, all across the walls. There are huge claw marks, chunks of, rock missing throughout kind of everywhere, some of the columns and pillars in the corner. The windows are all kind of beat up and broken. All the glass has been shattered out of them. The main kind of, altar kind of on the back wall in the center of the room, it looks like it's been a little wrecked, and the doorway, the kind of oval inscription kind of on the very, very back wall is doing something that you've never seen or felt it do before, Kai. And as soon as you walk in, you can just kind of feel this dark energy kind of throughout your body, just as kind of your senses. Everyone else sees a variety of runes inscribed in this kind of a ring behind this altar. And all of them are kind of glowing, kind of red, except for one that is the very top. And it almost looks empty, as it were. Like, it almost looks like this rune has just been carved into the cylinder, not actually filled yet with this red substance that you kind of see in the other runes that is, kind of glowing a very, very vibrant kind of red, almost to a pulsing kind of nature. And in front of this kind of weird, kind of circle in the back wall, there is a very, very big, very, very kind of ragged dressed, seems to be a man, kind of human, but has features of an elf and almost possibly a kobold too. And he's just got a lot of different kind of things going on. And the guy looks insanely ripped. And he's got some tattered, kind of ripped up, kind of black pants, a very long black trench coat. And he's kind of just sitting kind of right, on the throne, kind of in front of this altar and this kind of inscription on the back wall. And there are two jet black werewolves kind of standing on either side of them. And they are, around the same size as the werewolves you guys have been seeing, and around, Kobayashi size and whatnot. And as you guys are kind of walking in, you see this, gentleman kind of sitting, in his chair, and long kind of dreadlocks, all kind of, put back in kind of a ratty, kind of a mess. Very, very dark in his kind of skin tone and color. And as you guys kind of walk in, Kobayashi kind of walks right over to him. My master, he kind of bows down. I have found truly a great catch throughout the woods, as well as potentially found a location of another human. For all four of these people reek with the stench of human. And you all, as he says that, think back to Warren Mars, Theo's dad that you guys met. And legit, these werewolves can smell the fact that you guys were around a pure-blooded true human. And as kind of Kobayashi says all this stuff, this dark kind of, figure kind of stands up out of his chair, kind of walks over. You have done well, Kobayashi. I'm very proud of how you have come to this new position at my side, my werewolf ranks.
Well, I think he's a punk turncoat.
Please tell me. Do you say that out loud?
Yes.
And as you kind of say this out loud, this werewolf kind of stops for a moment. How interesting. Bring that one forward. And this kind of humanoid werewolf kind of, grabs you from the back, kind of brings you forward to the front of the pack. And this, to height comparison, you're about to this dude's kneecap,
Right,
straight
exactly.
up, right? And this figure's kind of looking down at you. And what magical nature allowed you to come to life?
I'm a dwarf. I'm new.
A dwarf.
Yeah.
Interesting. You wouldn't by chance have been created with any human, would you have?
Not that I know of. Chicken nugget and bowling ball.
Never mind. There wouldn't be much use for this one. And as he says that, this kind of humanoid kind of pulls you back, kind of behind, tearing and whatnot, kind of, standing alongside of you.
My turn.
What about for the rest of this party here, Kobayashi? What else do we have? And Kobayashi kind of stands to the side. We seem to have a dark elf, my lord. A young leprechaun, albeit very greedy and very mischievous.
Oh,
And we have a fellow student of mine, and Master Bendu's. And you kind of hear this kind of, grand kind of alpha werewolf that you assume kind of chuckle. You say Master Bendu's student?
I'm gonna just.
Well, why don't we reunite the two then? He kind of turns to this, werewolf kind of standing to the left of him. Why don't you fetch for Master Bendu? I'm sure he'd love to see one of his former pupils here.
It's a lot.
out of kind of the back, kind of door and whatnot, this werewolf's kind of bringing up Master Bendu. Now, Master Bendu's a not werewolf. Master Bendu's a minotaur. Okay. So, Master Bendu's a minotaur, and as he brings him in the room, you kind of, hear this coughing and stuff, and Tarek kind of realizes you can't see anything, but knows that this was your master, so he kind of, stands next to you, and he's kind of whispering in your ear how Master Bendu looks, and this is what Tarek says. And Tarek states that Master Bendu is literally dripping still from blood from his head, from his body. He looks like he has gashes all across his back. His chest has bite marks on it. I mean, his forearms literally look like they've been ripped open. His hair throughout, the fur throughout his back, throughout his beard is stained with dry blood. He has a huge, enormous black eye to the point where you can't even see the eye underneath. He's not even sure if it's still there. One of his minotaur horns has been severed from the top of his head, and pretty much Master Bendu's just looking really, really beaten up. Like they've just been torturing this dude brutally. And they kind of then bring Kai over, and they start torturing Kai right in front of him. And they're trying to get Master Bendu or Kai to break. To reveal what, we're not quite sure. And after Werewolf kind of deals an almost killing blow to Kai, Master Bendu finally, calls out and he says, please, enough. As you're looking real weak now from that blow, and already kind of from everything else, you have 4, deep gashes in your back, and you're starting to bleed out, and your companions are seeing the blood starting to trickle down kind of onto the floor almost. And you hear this affable werewolf, "Be careful, my students. We do not want to waste this precious blood of our young Kai here. Now, Master Bendu, please, if you do not wish for us to kill your, I believe, last student, tell me where the orb of Ramaksun is." And you are all like, Theo was right. That's the shit that he was looking for. That's not good. But you also realize, too, that he has not found it yet. This wolf has not quite found this thing yet. Right. And Master Bendu is just like, I told you, I was never told by the Elder Master before you killed him. I don't know where the orb was hidden. Sorry. And this alpha wolf, calm down. Calm. Shh. There's no need for that, Master Bendu. There's no need for that. And you just then literally see this alpha werewolf as he just punches Master Bendu, just clean right in the face. You kind of start panting.
Sorry.
Do you hear that, Master Bendu? Your disciple wishes to go outside so I can spill your blood across the steps of your monastery.
Why, you taking my words all the way.
He comes over and he kind of grabs you, just kind of like by your throat. He kind of just drags you along the floor up to your master. Look at your disciple. Look at him. I have no problem squeezing every ounce of life out of him. For my party has already located a pure human within this forest. I don't need your pupil's blood. I have plenty on its way, and I have no problem from killing him where he stands. Now, Master Bendu, where is the orb of Ramaksun? And Master Bendu finally just, please don't kill Kai. Don't kill Kai. Tell him the orb is in a graveyard for the elder monks. Each year when one passes from the higher status, amongst the death we take them to a sacred place in the forest. The orb was last buried with the last master of the monastery, Master Maxun. You can find his graveyard on the southern tip of High Oak Forest. Please just let Kai live. I cannot see this happen anymore. You feel, kind of nice that Master Bendu's saying all this stuff, doesn't want you to die. But everybody else in the room is kind of like, no, don't tell, no, bro. Like,
listen, Linda, shut up.
Like, stop telling him the goodies. And you all kind of see this kind of smirk on this alpha werewolf. Now that wasn't so hard, was it? Now, once the head alpha figures all of this out about where the orb of Ramaksun is, and also his name, as they do not know yet, but for you as the viewers, the alpha's name is Varen von Weil, And so as Varen discovers this information from Master Bendu, he kind of tells Kobayashi to, escort them and Master Bendu all out into the courtyard, kind of as prisoners. Among his return with the orb, they will then drain the rest of Kai's blood. And also on the way back from going to receive the orb, they are going to swing by and hunt down Theo's dad, Warren Mars, and bring him along for the ritual as well, because apparently they need some human blood. So pretty much as they all find out this bad news and get escorted out into the courtyard, right before they leave, Kieran speaks up and he says, yo, I would like to join the winning side of the party. I can see it when I see it, and I see that you guys are the way to go. And he wants to challenge one of the True Bloods for their spot and their rank in Varen's pretty much army. And Varen, even gives him the opportunity to either wait until they get back with the orb and Warren Mars, or if he wants to go right now, trial by combat, and see what he's got. And Kieran says, right now, let's rock and roll with this thing. So then Kobayashi escorts everybody else, minus Kieran, into the courtyard. And there's a couple werewolves kind of, standing guard, and they're in one of the back corners, kind of the monastery by this tree. Master Bendu, once they're kind of, alone and have a second, and once Kobayashi's re-entered the monastery itself, he kind of tells the party that was a foolish move, one, and that their friend's probably going to die. Second, he tells them and tells Kai, one, that he's great to see him and grateful to see them all, because he just told the biggest fib that he could and fooled the werewolves and was holding on until help had arrived from somewhere. And he pretty much lied to the werewolf's face about this whole graveyard and where the orb was and everything. And he actually has the orb protected on himself. And he doesn't, tell them exactly where yet, but he kind of motions that it's somewhere kind of within him, from a magical enchantment. It's kind of hidden, but actually, inside him. And as long as he's living, the enchantment still holds strong. So that is why the werewolves have not been able to find the orb of Ramaksun. So he says, we're going to hold on until the opportune moment, until Varen takes majority of his forces out to the graveyard and then to go hunt down Warren Mars. And then once most of his forces have, depleted, we should be able to take out the remaining, if any, and then make a mad dash back to Castle Mars and to Theo. Because Theo does know the monks, he does know of the elders and of the different masters. They've known each other from when Theo was actually on his journeys, long when he was before he actually slayed Dracula himself. So Master Bendu kind of lays down this plan, and then we jump back into the monastery, and there are 4 True Bloods in the corners, and Varen gives Kieran a weapon of choice, and he wants his silver dagger. And so they fetch it for him, and then he even gives him the opportunity to pick which of his True Bloods he wants to challenge. And so it's funny and very fitting. Kieran rolls a d4 to pick out which one. And luckily it's not Kobayashi, but it is again a True Blood in itself. And the battle commences 1-on-1, and it goes very poorly from the get-go for Kieran. And this werewolf is just, multi-attacking and slashing using his claw and bite action and kind of wrecking Kieran up. Now Kieran has succeeded on all of his Constitution saving throws to not be cursed with lycanthropy, but he is getting wrecked on the damage totals. And he's actually knocked down on the ground, and this is kind of Kieran's actual final stand, so I'm going to let you guys see it and how it kind of plays out.
Okay, I'm just going to legit just right through.
Nuts.
Yep,
Right shot.
through, right
Make an attack. Make a roll to hit. Right, a little bit better.
It's a 12. I don't know if I get. Wait, do I get.
Plus your bonuses for the dagger or whatever.
14?
You hit. Yeah.
Yes, sir!
You hit. Roll for damage.
Damage is junk. High rolls.
2 times 2 because the silver is 4.
Okay.
I was gonna do like 20 more times.
And his howl goes, oh, wow!
Yeah, straight up as he's howling. Oh, and you, bro, you just let out this defiant scream, and this dagger is sliced his balls in 2, and it's bad. It's up in there, almost in the butthole, and it's in the not good spot. It starts bleeding all over your hands, nasty junk juice, and it's just gross. And this werewolf is howling out in pain. kind of, you know, ready, just kind of like, all right, you come near me, I'm going to stab you, dude. Like, you come near me, I am going to stab you, right? And that's your turn. This werewolf, I mean, just in pain, shakes his head, looks down, trying to find you. You've kind of scooted a couple feet back now, and he looks at you, and he's just like foaming at the mouth with rage, okay? And he is going to just dive at you with his mouth just like open. He's going to try to just eat your head, just in one, just eat it, okay? That's going to be a 16 to hit, sir.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
So I'm knocked out.
That is going to be a...
It don't matter. I'm gone.
It does matter.
It does matter.
I have a 1 HP.
That's going to be 6. You're going negatives, bro. That's going to be 6 damage. And as he lunges, he gets you like right in the neck with this bite and like knocks you back against like the brick, and you just go unconscious with the sheer force of his whole body. I mean, like just lunging at you with his fangs around your neck, literally. At the same time, he's then gonna release, look up, point blank, and make another bite action and just start going to town on you.
That's your problem, man.
And
He's hungry for lunch.
yeah, that's gonna be a 17, and I'm going to do another 6 piercing damage, claws, and he's gonna try to just like rip you in two, and just kind of just rip you open. That is 14, my friend.
Damage or like...
No, 14 to hit.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And that's going to be 8 slashing damage.
Dude, I'm a dumbass.
As he kind of shoves his hands into your chest and just kind of almost peels back like part of your chest, like into an opening kind of, okay?
Rethinking your decision now, aren't you?
He's then, with his final action,
What? I still don't understand what you would.
You're
It's
gonna
what
just
I wanted to do. Okay?
dive.
I had it like 3 weeks ago. I saw the opportunity. I'm taking the opportunity. It's not ending great for me.
I say props for you taking that too,
It
bro.
was
Like,
worth it.
true to character, what you wanted, man. You know what I mean? Go out and deal glory. And he's gonna make a final bite action on your heart now that he's kind of ripped back your chest and he can reveal it. And that's gonna be a 24 to hit. So that's definitely gonna do it.
How? Aren't you
He rolled a 19 and he gets +5 with his bite.
Bro.
You're dead.
Yeah,
And
Your athlete.
probably.
that's gonna be 7 piercing damage.
He was dead.
26.
Yep. And as he dives face first into the chest, rips out your heart, and it's just one chomp, and it explodes in this werewolf's mouth all across the room. Just and he looks back over to his master, Varen von Weil.
That's his name?
That's the head. That's the head werewolf's alpha name.
Baron von Weil?
Varen von Weil. Lord Varen.
Fair enough.
Lord Varen, have I appeased you?
Second.
Yes, my disciple. Please go back to your post.
And that is the end for Kieran. I mean, that's it. Braden is going to make a new character and all that kind of good stuff. So stay tuned to see who that new character is going to be. But that is how Kieran is going to die after all these sessions. That's how he goes out. So we jump back then out to the courtyard, and Master Bendu is, kind of waiting for the right moment. And they actually have some of the Truebloods bring the remaining, bits of Kieran out to the guarding werewolves that are, watching over Bendu and the others. And they just, devour, start, chomping at the bits and just start eating everything that's left of Kieran. Meanwhile, they overhear some commotion, and they assume then that Varen is taking the remaining, the majority, we'll say, actually, of his forces out to go, investigate these graveyards where the masters were supposedly buried, which, of course, is a lie, but they don't know that. And also to try to hunt down Warren Mars, which that definitely is going to happen. They don't want that to happen. The good guys at least. And so when they leave, they kind of wait a little bit, and then once the kind of coast is clear, and these werewolves are kind of distracted that are guarding them because they're kind of munching on stuff. Right before they make a mad dash for it, Kobayashi comes out and he brings Kai inside the monastery. And he starts kind of talking to Kai and starts trying to see if, giving him a chance to see if he wants to join Varen and join Kobayashi, and how they can be, best friends again, and how he can, show him the ways, of this werewolf nature and all the new powers that he's, been able to tap and be able to use on top of his monk abilities, and just everything that he's been able to accomplish, since. And Kai holds strong, and he's like, nope, you're a backstabbing bitch, and I'm not going for it, and you killed all of our friends, all of our family, pretty much, our masters. I mean, you betrayed everybody, dude, and I'm not about what your visions are. And so, as this kind of goes down, Master Bendu outside says, let's go for it. And they, distract these couple werewolves that are remaining. The other guys grab all of their gear. Master Bendu jumps into the monastery, kind of throws Kobayashi off guard, allows Kai a chance to get out. As he does, he links up with the others, grabs his gear. They all start making a mad dash for it. Behemoth even scoops up Blur, because he's actually made it right to the gates pretty much of the monastery. Throws him in the backpack, and they start running out. However, these other werewolves have kind of recovered from Master Bendu distracting them initially, and they're on the mad dash chasing them down. And Kobayashi has then actually knocked out Master Bendu, and he's unconscious inside the monastery. And Kobayashi kind of emerges from the monastery, and he is ready to lay the smackdown. And we start a insane battle with the werewolves, with Kobayashi. They're taking on 4 pretty much half-bloods and 1 true blood here. And it's a crazy battle. I mean, it's 3 versus, pretty much 5. And it's pretty crazy. Everyone kind of has some great moments. Kai does some really, really cool stuff with his Staff of Extending. Behemoth is able to actually use his sweet Dwarven Thrower and actually able to get some hits off with it, which is awesome. It seems that not having the loot, all of a sudden he's tapped into his true fighter nature, and he's all of a sudden a fighter now. And he starts laying the smackdown. And and then Terig actually for the first time transforms into his new kind of transformation form that he is able to tap into by having Abaddon trapped into the soul stone within his chest. And so he says, I got wood, and transforms kind of into his Groot Swamp Thing kind of hybrid form. And he starts laying the ultimate nature smackdown. I mean, he is throwing these crazy, massive, almost tree trunk size thorn whips. He is casting out a magical spell called Spike Growth, which is Entangle times 5. It's insane. It makes the terrain pretty much unseeable and covered in just thick, gross, terrible, spiky, hard, barbed wired nature kind of vines and shrubbery. And the only person that can see this stuff is Terig, unless they succeed on a wisdom saving throw. So pretty much no one can see this except for him. It's a 20 foot by 20 foot square, a point on the point of origin that Terig gets to choose, and it starts ripping these werewolves apart. He literally casts the spell and then starts using his thorn whip and just starts dragging them one by one through these intense barbed wire ridden vines. And I believe it's 1d4 damage for every 5 feet that they move through this kind of terrain that is spike growth. And again, they start getting shredded, and the battle starts kind of coming to a close as Kai unfortunately gets knocked out, and he's kind of trapped within the spike growth, so he's not moving, but he's making saving throws. We jump to Behemoth, and he kind of downs his potion fire breathing and engulfs Kobayashi and another one of the werewolves in some wicked mean flames. Singeing a good portion of the werewolf hairs off of both of their backs. And Kobayashi realizes that better to survive than to lose to these fools, so he starts making a mad dash to escape, and Behemoth and Terra kind of take out the rest, and then Behemoth starts chasing down Kobayashi because he ain't about to let this guy go.
Alright, I'm gonna do Spike Growth.
Ooh!
And I can pinpoint the area.
Okay.
So it's gonna grab Kai though.
Okay.
There's no way I can get around that. It takes 2d4 piercing damage for every 5 feet of travel.
Ooh! Damn!
kills you.
No, you just don't move.
Your body's just stuck there, dude.
For every 5 feet it travels, you're not going anywhere. The only one that's going to really hurt is probably him. But if he goes backwards 5 feet...
Amongst your casting it, do people have to take damage?
No.
Okay, so it's just when they move.
Yeah, it just says when
Kill
they
everybody.
Okay.
should have asked this before. I want to throw Behemoth out of the way. Like, I want to pull him out.
Okay. With your hand?
Yeah, just pull. 'Cause he's right on the cusp. I just
Yep,
wanna pull
he's
him
gonna take just 5 feet of the movement, so he's
Yeah.
gonna take the damage one time,
One
to
time.
get it out. Yep, to get him out.
Sorry.
You can do that though. You can 100% rip him out of there. So action pretty much to pull him out.
Yeah.
Okay. Then roll the damage for Behemoth to take.
2d4.
And then
2 ones.
5.
Okay. 5 damage to Behemoth, which eat him out. Out.
Is that how that'll work? Like,
Pretty much, dude. As soon as
like,
they move
so,
toward you,
like, if
they
it-
just start getting stabbed by shit, bro. They can't even see.
Like, is that actually how you would play that? Like, if that silver wolf tried to run and punch on me, he would do his damage before that punch hits me?
For every
Oh, for
5
every 5 feet, dude. So like the punch could still maybe hit you, but for every 5 feet that they traveled to get it to you, they're getting shredded, like shredded, getting mangled.
Yeah, that's what
It's like literally, okay. Just imagine like a wall of barbed wire, and your enemy's on the other side. I mean, you can definitely maybe get through the barbed wire. You know, there's some gaps around, but like your arm's gonna get a little fucked up. You're gonna get some scrapes and some gouges.
I'm running towards him.
Oh, you ain't letting him get away? Oh, Behemoth's on the hunt.
And,
Behemoth's on the hunt.
and from here, he's within range of my hammer. Because it'll go 60 feet.
Yeah, roll with disadvantage because he's close to getting back behind the rock. But yes.
Okay.
Or you can, if you still have movement, you could try to move to get a clearer shot.
I actually do have movement where I can go.
Badass, bro. You hit. Roll for damage.
Pow! Alright. And it's 2d8s.
Mm-hmm. Because you are throwing it.
Break his neck. Break the neck. Break the
Take
neck.
his head off.
Break the neck. Break the 3
Take his head
and a
off.
1. 4.
Okay.
Take his head off.
Okay. Not bad though, dude. Honestly, Behemoth, I'm impressed. Like, good job, bro. Good job.
Like, you're not getting anywhere.
As you whip your cool thunder hammer, it needs a cool name, bro. You need to name your hammer like Kevin. As you whip your hammer,
I gotta do better than Kevin.
it clips into this, kind of left shoulder of Kobayashi, and it like knocks him. He kind of stumbles almost into this rock, kind of like really pushing himself off the rock to kind of keep himself up, and he just keeps running. He just keeps on running.
So,
Back to Where Silver, and Where Silver is, he hasn't tried this out yet, so he's going to try to just tear into a little bite. He's going to go face first, get a little chunk of some kai in him.
His face is going 5 feet.
Face is going 5 feet, bro.
Does that count?
Ooh, and he misses you too, dude. As he like goes to bite you, he just misses as he just feels this sharp pain of these weird invisible spikes just going literally through his lips, through his cheeks as he
dies. That's actually how that werewolf dies, is getting impaled through the face from this spike growth spell. And like I said, Tarek and Behemoth have pretty much dealt all the other killing blows to the remaining werewolves. They then got everybody back up on their feet, including Master Bendu, and then they all started making a mad dash out of the monastery towards Castle Mars. However, upon their leaving, Tarek pulls out his sending stone and calls to Theo and tries to alert him of kind of what's going on and that they found his father in High Oak Forest. And unfortunately, Varen and some of his werewolves are on their way to him, and they're probably going to be pissed because now they know the graveyard doesn't exist. So Theo tells him not to worry, make their way back to the castle as fast as he can, and that's where we'll end. See you guys next time.